first year as head coach there. Last year, I was the pitching coach and interim head coach for the second half of the year. It's my second year doing this clinic. Last year I did pitching as well. Brought with me one of our pitchers, Jay Harrison. He was Conference Player of the Year and Division I Pitcher of the Year. So I brought him with us. We're going to go through some pitching mechanics, some mentality things, some troubleshooting our mechanics that I think is directed towards a younger age group. I know this is Little League, I think all the way up to, what do you guys got, 14-year-olds maybe is our highest? Okay, 15? Okay, 14. So really I want to just talk about fundamentals and where we can really try and get these kids being consistent with their mechanics, because I think it's such an important thing for pitching, just having that consistency in our mechanics. So we're going to talk about some stretch, some body movements, where we should be within our setup to try and get that consistency. When we're talking about pitching from a young age, some of the biggest problems I see are that, you bring these kids in on Monday and they'll pitch. And they'll pitch, they'll look okay. The mechanics look one way. Then you bring them in on Wednesday, everything's crazy. The mechanics look completely different than they did 2 days ago. And that doesn't foster development. It doesn't help kind of connecting the brain with what the body's doing, because the body has to be, that's the easier part of pitching. Getting the body to do what you want it to do, because you can see everything that I got to do, but we got to get their body consistently doing the same thing practice after practice, week after week, okay? Because if we can do that, then the mind starts becoming connected with our mechanics, okay? From week to week we can start learning more, okay? Mechanics are exactly the same every single time. Now it's just a mind thing, okay? So that's why it's so important from a young age getting those mechanics getting those mechanics down and getting them down consistently week after week. So we're going to run through some things here. Especially our younger kids, what I like to do is talk to them about, our basic throwing. What I tell everybody is we always get back to the same power position, whether we're catching a fly ball, taking a ground ball, or we're pitching. Okay, everything, whether we're here, okay, we take that ground ball, where do we end up? Okay, we take that ground ball, where do we end up? We're here. Okay, we take that pop up, where do we end up? We're here. Okay, we're pitching. Okay, where do we end up? We're here. Everything's back to that point. Okay, so what I like to try and do with my younger kids is let's break everything down back to that point. Okay, so whether we're pitching or doing whatever, we get back to that stretch position. They're pitching out of the stretch. Everything's there as far as fielding. Everything's that stretch position. Okay. So what I like to have our kids doing, whether they're pitching, throwing, off of a ground ball or a pop-up, what I like to do is have them start in that stretch position. Okay. And as you can see, we got Jake here. If he's pitching to our catcher down there, we've got this nice line here for us. What I tell them, whether they're pitching, ground balls, whatever, is toe-to-toe. Okay, so you can see if we were to take a line, okay, and connect Jake's toes here to the catcher, it's going to be a straight line. We're toe-to-toe to catcher. Okay, and so you'll see it. Kid takes a ground ball. He's throwing to first, which is down there, and he's here. Okay, this is not toe-to-toe. Okay, these are not good mechanics when we're going that way, but our body's going that way. Okay, so we got to get them going toe-to-toe. Okay, and that's right back to our pitching position. Since we're predominantly talking about pitching in this session, I just think it's important to kind of note that same thing with pitching, toe-to-toe to catcher. Okay. So when we're talking about our pitching with our kids and we're working with them, make sure that they're toe-to-toe. Okay. Jake's on the rubber here. When we start from a stretch position, I think that's the most simple breakdown of pitching mechanics we can get to. Okay, a lot of kids are gonna go home and watch the Indians and they see all this stuff. It looks real cool, all this junk going on. At a little league level, we need to break it down to the point of being as simple as possible for consistency purposes. So have your kids start from the stretch. Okay, that's the way they need to go. Okay, you can break it down a little more simple. There's less movement. It's easier from the stretch. So I got Jake in the stretch here. Okay, he's got his foot on the rubber. He's toe to toe. He's not open. Okay, because what you're gonna see is when we're pitching this way, some kids are gonna set up this way. Okay, some are gonna be over closed. Okay, what I mean by closed is we're closed off from home plate. Simplicity. Okay, we're right here. I like even slightly closed. Okay, not over dramatic, not over open. Okay, we're slightly closed. Okay. So now we've got all that power, all that energy harnessed up into our hips. We're closed, ready to go home. Okay. So we got the feet position down, the body position. What you're gonna see with some younger kids is we start getting this thing. They want to see where they're going. Okay, so we're open already. Not a good thing. That's all the power generated. Okay, we want to stay nice and closed. We're closed off from the catcher. Okay, what I say is catcher, hitter shouldn't be able to read what's on the front of your shirt. Shouldn't be able to tell what number's on your back because you're facing that way. Okay, they can't see it. Right here, nice and close. Okay, so we want to maintain that closure. Okay, so when we get into our pitching, okay, we want to be at that point. Okay, so I always have my kids start out there, and the big thing, guys, is when we have younger kids, they like to kind of rush through. They think, okay, the faster I go, the faster I can pitch. Slow them down, and it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle. You got to slow their mechanics down, okay? And I don't mean like slow motion up here. I mean coming set. Okay, so Jake comes set. Notice, he's still close. Everything's still close, okay? He brought his hands together up top. They're not down here, right here. Everything's closed. Can't see what's on his front, can't see what's on his back, okay? But he came set. Have them come set, okay? Whether you have box in your league or not yet, it's a good foundation to build off of, coming set. Okay? It's just a part of pitching that they're gonna get into when just coming set and breaking right through, that's a balk. Okay, so just implement that now. It's simple enough. Have them come set. The other reason I like having my younger guys come set, they'll say, oh, it doesn't matter. It matters. Have them come set because that gives them time. Okay, a lot of younger kids, they get up there, they're looking at the catcher, oh, throw the ball. Okay, no, come set, think about what you're doing, think about where you're throwing, think about where the catcher's at, and I guarantee you, your younger guys, I have a 9-year-old and I went to his practice a couple weeks ago. When you get into the consistent mechanics and tell them to think about where they're throwing, you're going to be amazed at how many kids, if you tell the catcher, okay, set up outside, set up inside, if they stop at that set position and think about that, you'll be amazed how many can actually throw inside, outside, inside, outside. It's an amazing thing if you can get to that point. So have them slow down. Slow down. Take a breath, think about what you're doing, and throw. Okay, so slow them down. You're going to notice it's a battle to get them slow. Especially in the game, they get going. Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. They come in, you got to tell them again. Have them slow down. Have them think about what they're doing. So Jake came to a set position. And from here, what I like to have our kids do is we're loaded on this back leg. Okay? See, it's got slight bend to it as opposed to his front leg. Okay, it's straight. Reason I like that is as we get older, again, it's a step we've taken out. Because where are they going to have to go if they're standing straight up? Where are they going to have to go to? Here, right? Because they got to push. You can't push off if your leg's straight. All you do is fall. Okay? So at a young age, implement it now. Okay? It's a step they take out. Once you get into stealing, I'm sure some of our older guys are into stealing already. It's that extra little bit of time that you've taken off of the delivery that the catcher has time to throw guys out. Okay, so take that step out. Just have them load. And it's not crazy. It's a slight bend here. Okay? So from here, we're already loaded. We're ready to go. Okay, so Jake's going to go into his throwing motion. Okay, as his leg comes down, his hands separate. Okay, so you can go. Okay, his hands separate. Okay? Notice how Jake has stayed closed. He didn't open up out here. It's just as important in our set being closed as when we come to throw. Okay, as you notice, still toe to toe to catcher. I can still draw a line, we're still going to the catcher. That's a big thing you're gonna notice is we'll get kids throwing over here across their body. It's not a good thing. We get arm drag, we get arm problems, we lose power that way. So make sure that we're going to the catcher, okay? As Jake separates, okay, and I like to use this with our younger kids, is that we get so much going on here that it just becomes very inconsistent, okay? We get guys doing the little chicken wing down here where it just falls. The other arm comes up here. We get guys coming up here all over the place, okay? So what I try and say is, guys need to go home, take a look in the mirror, and I want you to do snow angels, okay? We're not going all the way up here, okay? But separation to here, separation to here, okay? It's a snow angel, okay? Ball comes up, glove comes up, okay? And what you're gonna see, and I still see it with my high school guys, okay? And I try and, beat it into their head is, this glove's gotta come up, okay? And one of the biggest problems I have is these kids are taught to throw, whether they're doing anything, and this glove comes down here. You guys don't have to do it now, but try going home, okay? You don't even need a ball in your hand, but just put your hand behind your back, try throwing. Other than looking extremely goofy, you're gonna notice the amount of torque is not there in your arm that you had if you go like this, get it out there and pull through. You're gonna notice, you're gonna feel it. I mean, I can feel it just doing that and I barely move. Have them get that arm up there, okay? It's so important, okay? So important for balance, so important for power. You can use that. What I tell my younger guys so they can kind of understand the concept is when we get to this point, okay, you've got your hand on the back of the door. You're gonna pull the door open, okay? You're gonna pull it into our side. We're gonna throw the ball in there. So just tell them, grab the door, pull it open. Can't grab the door if our glove's down here, okay? So have them open that door, pull it open, okay? Glove's gonna come into the side, okay? So that's kind of where our hands and arms are. We really need to watch the arm slot of the younger guys. I will tell you right now, in 4th grade I did this, and it just, after a certain amount of time, I kind of just figured it out. But we get this arm slot of here, this catcher, see the catcher, okay? We really need to fight to start trying to get that hand out here, okay? It should be pointed towards second base, okay? As Jake's got it perfect right there, okay? And we got to get it out here. Start trying to get it separated from the body. A good way of doing that, snow angel, okay? Over here, okay? We're not doing this. This is not a snow angel, okay? We're out here, okay? So try and fight to get that out there. As he comes through, he's got to maintain that arm. We're not dropping, because sometimes we'll see this. Everything looks so good, and then we go push the ball home, okay? You got to get it out there, get it up, get the elbow elevated, and throw the ball. Okay, so you really got to watch that arm action. Make sure we not only get to this point, but we're not doing any of this funky stuff down here. Get that elbow elevated above the shoulder, okay? And that'll also take away elbow issues, arm drag, all sorts of crazy stuff. Try and get that arm up, elbow elevated, okay? So we're gonna move into our next progression through, Jake has come through, okay? This whole time, he's maintained closure, okay? A lot of our younger kids, okay, we get to this point, we come up here, okay, and then we're right here. We're already open before we put our foot down, okay, before we're even ready to do that. Everything that we've fought for on staying closed in our stretch is gone, okay? If you can't maintain their closure. So what I tell them to do when they're loaded, okay, and they drive, you gotta fight to stay closed. So as he drives, he's stayed closed this whole time. He's still not open, okay? Right as that foot's coming down, everything needs to pop open at once, okay? If we start popping open slowly through our delivery, we've lost everything. Everything's gotta stay closed, 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 then we pop it open at one time. It all pops open at one time, okay? We've generated all that leg power up through our, our feet, to our legs, up through our hips, and that's when it pops it open. All that power generates through, and it's transferred to our upper body on that pop, okay? If we do that in a progression instead of one popping open, you're gonna lose all that power. So harness it all. You gotta tell them, hey, show the guy, not turning, but show that guy your back pocket all the way through until you pop, okay? So try and maintain closure from the second we set up to the second we pop those hips open. Maintain closure, okay? So he's come through, he's popped his hips open, okay? And you can see the pop right there. We went from being closed, but from being closed to popping the hips open, and you can see they've popped open, okay? And that's where we've gotten that nice velocity come up through our legs into our arm, okay? And you know, the thing he's done also is he's maintained that balance so nice all the way through, okay? We're not off balance forward, not off balance backwards. We've maintained that balance all the way through our delivery, okay? You know, we talked about arm slot. What I like to do with our kids, and this is also a very difficult thing to try and teach younger guys, and I honestly probably maybe 8-10 years ago really finally clicked in my head. Every coach, and I'm sure you guys have told your kids this, hey, follow through, follow through, follow through, follow through. And I always, yeah, coach, I'm following through, you know, I'm following through, you know, I'm here, okay? What we really need to fight through is following through correctly, okay? And what I tell my guys, these younger kids, and just doing a couple weeks ago when I was working with the 9-year-olds, is when you let the ball go, stop trying to slow your arm down, okay? On release, okay, is when you need to follow through hard, okay? Don't just follow through here, because what happens subconsciously is we start trying to slow that arm down before we even let the ball go, okay? And I don't care what anyone tells you, if they're doing one of these things, which you know you'll see, one of these things, they're slowing their arm down before they even let it go, okay? Have them bend at the hips, okay? Follow through down here. Take a towel, you can even go down there and give them a high five at the end of their delivery. Make sure they give you a high five down here, okay? They're following through correctly, okay? So as they release, I'm telling these kids, you really need to think about as the ball's coming out of your fingers, I don't need you to throw any harder. Don't throw any harder. As you release the ball, follow through hard. Follow through hard, okay? Really push through that ball, extend, and follow through hard, okay? It's just so important to try and get out of that mindset and subconsciously slowing our arm before we're ready to let the ball go. So follow through hard, let the arm decelerate down here, okay? Let your body decelerate. We don't need to be yanking back up. Let the body decelerate, okay? That's why you get some of the kids that are kind of sore on their back. They're following through well. That's what that's from. They're following through well, okay? You know, the next thing I want to talk about is, you know, younger kids, older kids, whatever it might be. We get into these mental kind of fogs where we've lost the strike zone. It's gone. We have no idea where it's at. Mechanics start going haywire, right? Okay. We do this right now in our program, and we started it every time before they get into a bullpen session where they're going to go hard off the mound. We start with short box bullpens, okay? And all that means is that I take a normal bullpen session, okay, and I cut a third, and whatever your distance is on your pitcher's mound to home plate, cut a third off of it, okay? Cut a third off of it. Have them throw from 2/3 the distance, okay? And what you're gonna do, have them pitch out of the stretch, okay? And all they're gonna do is the catcher's gonna set up outside, inside, outside, inside from 2/3, okay? They're gonna get their confidence back because they can hit that spot every single time from 2/3 distance. You're gonna notice it takes a lot less, you know, strength and muscle to get the ball there. It's a lot easier to hit targets, and they're gonna just start popping again. You're gonna be able to slow their mechanics down out of that short box bullpen, okay, and see if there's any glaring issues that they're doing. And out of that short box, you know, they're gonna start hitting their spots again. They're gonna start popping spots. Then you can take them, move them back a couple feet, okay? Extend it just a little bit until that confidence is back where they can say, oh, you know what? It's a mental issue, I'm over it now, I'm popping spots, I'm good. You step them back, you get them back onto the mound, and they're gonna be reset back into that you know, full distance. And you'll see that that'll alleviate some of your mental issues, don't just have them sit up there and throw and get frustrated and everything. Short box, bring them back in, and you'll see that the mental issues will kind of fade away. I think that as far as fundamentals and basics, I think we're at our time limits. But does anybody have any questions or anything?
Do you have a preferred ratio that you try to get your pitchers at in terms of stride length relative to their height?
You know, it should be, you know, I try and get, they should be able to get a full body distance, you know, maybe a little bit under, okay? So, and that's a big thing because a lot of younger kids, I've seen everything from these huge, giant leg kicks to these, this is the extent of our stride and leg kick, okay? So, you know, as they do that, you really need to be thinking about, and you don't have to give them, you know, if they're younger kids, body distance and things like that, but see where they're set up and be like, hey, you know, I need you out here, okay? I need you out here. I need you to get to this point of our stride. Because that, again, is also a huge thing with velocity and taking away just, it's not all about arm strength, it's so much mechanics. I mean, you know, Jake's not a huge guy, but he throws low mid 80s, and his mechanics are sound. The mechanics are sound. He throws the same way every single time, and that's what we need to try and go for. His mechanics are good. He gets that nice long stride, okay, where we're going to get more of that velocity. So then it's.
Do you have any suggestions for kids that are 8, 9, 10 years old grip?
Yeah. So that's a great point. At 8, 9 years old, I went over this the other day with the kids. You know what I have them do? Is when they're playing catch, the second they get the ball back, whether they're playing catch in the gym and it's in December, January, February, whatever, or they're in the middle of a game in July, they catch the ball. What I have them do, they're pitching or whatever, and you catch the ball back. However, I have them take the ball, put it back in their glove with the 4-seam grip. Okay? And the 4 seams, what that means is that, you know, this is the 4-seam grip. Everybody know the 4-seam grip. That's how all the kids should be throwing. It's the straightest throw you're gonna get, okay, with that 4-seam grip. So make sure they're holding it that way. The reason it's called 4 seams is you see all 4 seams as it's coming in. As opposed to a 2-seam, you don't see all 4 seams as it's coming in. So 4-seam grip, get them in the habit of doing that, because as they develop as players, as shortstops, as third basemen, as whatever, the 4-seam grip, you're not going to get any of this stuff if we're throwing to first base. We're going to get consistent strikes out of our pitchers because it's straight. As they grow older, they'll start playing around with 2 seams and all things like that. But for our younger guys, just 4-seam, 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 4-seam. Yeah.
Should they even use 3 fingers if their hands aren't big enough?
And you know that's a change-up grip that we use for some of our younger guys. You know, we try and get them into our circle change grip as they get older. But a 3-seam grip is essentially a change-up that we throw for some of our freshman players who don't have the accuracy yet. So that's not a problem. You know, just make sure that we're not, you know, getting completely, which I don't think they should be able to do, but get them all on top, you know, of our 4-seam. Instead of here, you know, we're here. And that's fine. You'll still have that same accuracy and it'll be fine. Yeah. Any other questions for us here? Okay. Well, I'll be around for a little bit, and if you guys need to stop over and ask anything or thought of anything, please come over and we can talk about it, okay? All right.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for coming today, guys. I appreciate it. Okay?